I must tell you, the audience here at the Citizen TV Townhall have been itching to get started, and the moment is finally here. Let me begin by introducing our guest in studio, but just before that, a quick analogy to help you understand the topic that we're having here today. It's barely 28 days since Kenyans ushered in the new year. And if you picked up a paper on the first, second, or third day of the month, the headlines were probably about the economy, war on corruption, or other factors. But right now, the discussion everywhere is about security. How can Kenya move from having emotional reactions when incidents like these happen to forming long-term solutions that will last beyond a couple of months? Now, those are some of the questions that we want to get into at this moment, and we value your feedback. You watching us at home, please use the hashtag Monday Report and talk to us on our SMS line 22422. Now, let me quickly introduce my panelists here and allow them to answer one or two questions. I'll start from my far right there. We have Charles Owino, the police spokesperson. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Right next to him is Tabitha Mwangi, who's a research associate at the Center for International and Security Affairs. Welcome to the program as well.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Salim Demo, who just introduced himself to me in a very interesting manner. Former member, Nyumba Kumi. He says he's not masquerading as a current member, but he does have some insight, and we'll be talking a bit about that in just a bit. We also have Millicent Otieno, the CEO, a director for local capacities for Peace International, and we'll be talking about what can we do to find peace. And right next to me, Eric Okeo, who in this current role is the vice chair for the Private Security Regulatory Authority. Bwana Owino, let me briefly and immediately start with you. My question to you is, having watched the Uganda model, we've seen the police embrace the private guards, take them under their wings and help in the administration of arming them. Do you think the Kenya police can play that role should what the private guards are trying to push actually work?
First of all, it is important to understand the history of each and every country. Uganda has had several civil wars. Before 1971, I think there was a civil war around 64, 65. Then 71, 79, 80, coming in 86, and other days. And usually what happens is that when there's a civil war, many a times the government loses the whole armory to the hands of the public. And therefore Uganda found itself in a situation where almost everyone had a firearm. And for that reason, it called for the need to arm private security people because of the situation at which they were. And you remember also for a very long time, Uganda did not just have a police service. For a very long time, the members of the military were transformed into the police after the civil wars.
A fair point.
So the situation in Uganda demanded for having private security guards armed.
What does the situation in Kenya demand?
The situation in Kenya has slightly changed over a period of time. For a very long time, we have been a country without much problems. You remember even before 1971, police officers themselves were not armed. The police officers used to use just batons. The arming of police officers started after 1972 when we started getting armed robberies in towns. And therefore that meant, especially robberies to the bank, that meant that the police officers had to be armed. Currently the situation is that we have had a situation where we have been under frequent attacks. And therefore, there has been need to ensure that we have people with firearms at specific points that can help in engaging the attackers in event you are attacked. And the first person at call, most of the times in all our places, are security guards. And I think that is what has informed the need and the urge to have security guards.
You've given me a nice, safe answer, and I like the way you're giving it, and I will come back to you to get a bit more on that. Eric Okeo, let me come to you. Your Director General is the one who made that announcement, that within the next 6 months, expect to see guns in the hands of private guards guarding certain installations. What was the thinking behind that? Is that the best solution for the place Kenya finds itself in at the moment?
Thank you, Aiga. Perhaps you allow me to comment in my capacity as chair of the Kenya Security Association.
Go ahead.
Because that is the association of employers of our officers. We think the move is good because we are the first line of contact with the enemy. So we support the need to arm as employers, except we are saying it's bound to face a few challenges that must also be addressed And so we are saying we don't agree that it should be wholesome or blanket, as it were. We are saying face it. Let us do audits and say which areas are critical infrastructure of diplomatic coverages, installations that need our guards, the private security officers, to be armed, and we work together with them and do training. This is what we are saying as employers. My Director General spoke. I am sure you don't expect me to contradict him.
Yes, and he has sent his apologies. Fazul Mohammed was supposed to join us in this panel today, but he won't be able to make it. Go ahead.
Exactly, Wahiga. So, and you know, in the board, I also have a chair, Professor S.P. Nganga, and now Fazul, and board members. 2 board members are here.
Okay.
So briefly, what I'm saying is we agree, but the challenge is in Section 53 of the Act. Section 53 of the Act prohibits the use of guns or arms by private security officers.
So how will we go around that?
Good question.
That's the question. I want to ask you to hold there because we need to take a quick break. When we return, I'll get reactions from each of my panelists, and then the audience asks questions as well. We take a short break. You're watching Citizen TV Town Hall, the first one in 2019. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.